This is the Pharmaverse podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack, engaging leaders from the pharma universe. Hello and welcome to the Pharmaverse podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack. And if you're a leader or an aspiring leader in the pharmaceutical industry, you are in the right place because we interview the brightest stars from all corners of the pharma universe. And today's guest certainly fits that description. We're joined today by Josh Schwartz, MD, MBA, the Vice President of Medical Affairs North America at BeOne Medicines, formerly BeiGene. Today, Josh is going to talk to us about something very important when it comes to leadership, and that is developing other people. So Josh Schwartz, welcome to the Pharmaverse.
Thank you, Michael. Really, thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast. Actually looked through the list of the previous guests, and it really is humbling to get to be a part of this.
Well, I mean, a bald beard guy, we gotta stick together, right?
That's right.
Well, to set the discussion, can you give us just a quick overview of BeOne Medicines, the mission, and then what you're doing to drive that forward?
Sure, yeah. So BeOne Medicines is a global oncology company that was really built differently to deliver innovative medicines faster, more equitably, and affordably around the world. We changed our name recently from BeiGene to BeOne, really to reflect our commitment to uniting the worldwide community against cancer. My role at BeiGene is to oversee the strategy and execution of our medical team in North America, which sits at the intersection of commercialization and research and development. We're the scientific arm of the company when it comes to engaging with our U.S. and Canadian key opinion leaders in hematology and oncology.
And you built such an amazing team there. I got to say, it's a world-class team.
Yeah.
And, you said something in our pre-show discussion that I wanted to just talk a little bit more about. You said that you went from individual contributor to second-line manager in just a few years in industry. How did you pull that off?
Yeah. I wish I could say it was because I was seen as this great talent or, did amazing things, but I was really just at the right place at the right time. I was on a team that needed a new leader, and the team also happened to be expanding from 6 to 12 individual contributors. So we needed a leader and first line managers. So that the head of the field medical organization at the time at the company I was at promoted me straight from an individual contributor to a manager of managers. I was really the non-traditional hire, and she took a risk on me, and I'm really grateful that she did.
So many of the people that listen to the podcast are aspiring leaders that have been grinding it out for years and years and years trying to get a leadership position, and here you go, and bypassing the even regional director role.
Yeah, just lucky.
Well, during our prep call, you said that you've always been sort of this natural leader, but that you actually had to work pretty hard to be a manager. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so I guess I've really been naturally drawn to leadership. I don't think anyone's really a natural born leader, but it really comes from my days as a kid and young adult playing sports. I really always wanted to win the game so bad and wanted to bring my teammates along with me. So I really learned a lot about what made a team work well together. But then I got into management and I realized that it was really this huge responsibility and privilege because now it's not sports. You're dealing with people and their careers and their jobs and their livelihoods. So I've really spent the last decade in our industry trying to get better at this every day. And I've approached it in three ways. I read a lot. I try to observe other leaders, both good and bad, because I think you can learn a lot from those that do things right and those that do things wrong and knowing kind of what not to do. And then I really try to seek feedback. So reading, observing, and seeking feedback with a curious mind.
Yeah, I love that. And it's true. You can learn from, some people are a good example of a bad example, and you don't want to do that. And I know you are a student of leadership and management. And you were telling me that when it comes to hiring, that there are two different kinds of leaders, the traditional and non-traditional. Can you expand on that for our audience?
Yeah, sure. So I remember a mentor of mine really walked me through this once, and I just never forgot it. He taught me through there's sort of the traditionalist hiring manager and the non-traditionalist. And the traditionalist hire is based on a very narrow, fixed mindset where he or she believes the only way to get to their job is to follow a really specific, predefined path. And it's really pretty much the path he or she took. And then there's the non-traditionalist who takes a sort of broad growth-oriented mindset to hiring. And the non-traditionalist looks for some minimal level of subject matter knowledge, but then hires people into roles who have potential and the ability to grow. And so I've really tried to take the non-traditionalist approach and feel like, with my previous answer that, somebody took a non-traditionalist approach with me, and I feel like it's worked out.
Yeah, it certainly has worked out. And I can tell you, for being a recruiter and seeing different hiring managers make hiring selections, that they really do fall into those two buckets, but more fall into the traditional route. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would. And sometimes, doing things the non-traditional way is the right way.
Well, like I said, I know you've gone to some leadership seminars, you send your team to seminars, you're a real student of leadership. Which leadership seminar has been the best in your mind?
Yeah, so back in 2019, I had the opportunity to attend Jocko Willink's Echelon Front Extreme Ownership course. I had heard Jocko on a podcast, and so then I read his book, and I convinced my manager to let me attend his course, and I just loved it. And so when I got to BeiGene in 2022, or BeOne, I took my whole leadership team to the course, and they loved it. And so then we opened up that opportunity to everybody on my team at BeOne to attend the course, and a lot of folks have, over the last couple of years taken us up on that. And really the only requirement is they read the book before they go.
Yeah, and I've been reading the book and well, listening to the audiobook. And, one of the questions that I have as I'm listening to it, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, extreme ownership is a great leadership philosophy, but it also applies to individual contributors, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does. And that's why, we send folks on our team who are not managers, but you can be a leader and you don't necessarily have to be a manager. And so, within the book, and then you go to take the course with Jocko and his team at Echelon Front. And, it's a great message that, no matter the situation, you might not have people that report to you, but you can still lead within the role you have. And so, we've really tried to encourage people to take that approach.
But even just taking extreme ownership of what, even like a project that you're working
Absolutely.
on. And I
Absolutely.
love the quote. I've been thinking a lot about it from the book. There's no bad teams. There's only bad leaders.
That's
I
right.
got to think that was an element of the discourse, right?
Absolutely. And I've used that quote with my team many times.
Well, aside from extreme ownership, what other qualities do you see separating the best leaders from the pack?
Yeah, as you can tell, I think a lot about this and leadership in general, and I could probably go on, but in the interest of time, I'm going to stick with sort of what I think are the five C's. So the first is caring. Good leaders genuinely care about the individuals on their team as human beings. The second C is communication. Good leaders can clearly and succinctly communicate the mission, the strategy, the objectives to their team, and the why behind all of those aspects. The third is C is culture. Good leaders create a culture where everyone is supporting each other, moving the team forward. The fourth C is challenging. So a solid leader continuously challenges the team and themselves to get better and to deliver, not only day to day, but week to week and month to month. And the fifth C is career development. A good leader embraces the fact that career development of their team is, if not one of the most important aspect of their job. And I think if you do all these things really well, you'll be a good leader and the team will be successful.
Well, I want to get into that last C and we'll kind of dive into that a little deeper, but I want to go right to the first C first, if you don't mind. Caring. This is a common theme that I've heard from leader after leader after leader on this podcast is that, and it goes right to that cliche, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
How do you exhibit to your team that you genuinely care about them?
Yeah, I spend time with them. I talk to them. I get to know them. I get to know them outside of sort of the work, they do. But, really, their families and, anything that's bothering them. I definitely have this open door policy. Everybody has my cell phone. I try to talk to folks, as often, frequently as possible. I cover North America, and it's a large field team, so everybody's sort of dispersed. But whenever I have the opportunity to meet with people in person, I take advantage of it. So yeah, it's not that hard to show people you care. I check in with people. I try to send everybody a birthday card if I get the chance. But one of my things is I love to read, and I want to instill that in my children, but also folks on the team, and so I try to send everybody a book every year and try to write something in it at the end of the year and send that off to them. So it's not hard to show people you care if you actually care.
Yeah, that's true. But it seems like those first two C's, communication and caring, seem to go hand in hand. If you care about someone, you're going to communicate with them a lot. But also it's what you communicate, right? Like the
Absolutely.
leader communicating down sort of an enterprise view creates the next thing. The next C is culture, right? So these things kind of build off each other, it seems like to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
This episode is brought to you by K. Bassman International, the leader in pharma and biotech recruiting. When pharma executives need to make critical hires, they go to the experts at K. Bassman, pharma's one-source staffing solution. Visit kbic.com. Now back to the episode. Well, so let's talk about that last C, because that's really what you're known for, is people development. I know you take it really seriously. And when we were talking earlier, you made a sports reference, which of course I appreciate and get, that there's like this coaching tree.
Yeah.
We see that in sports, but walk us through what that means in a industry setting.
Yeah. So I read about the coaching tree concept in a couple of different books, and how Nick Saban, the former football coach at Alabama, and Greg Popovich, the coach of the San Antonio Spurs, talked about it, and it really just resonated with me. And the concept's pretty simple. It's really about developing the next generation of leaders. So, the coaches that sort of follow in your footsteps, or the leaders that follow in your footsteps. So it's really about paying it forward to develop people on your team to grow into leadership positions in our industry. And I got to admit, it gives me a lot of satisfaction when I see it happen.
Yeah, it really does. But let's get granular. What exactly do you do as a leader or a manager to develop people at BeOne Medicines?
Yeah. So, I try not to just talk the talk, but to walk the walk. People say that from the stage all the time. The most important thing is to develop, the careers of the people on our team, and then they don't do anything about it. So, I know it drives my administrative assistant crazy, but, I have her set up meetings at a minimum 3 times a year with everybody on the team to have development discussions. First, I make sure the team member knows that the discussion is not about performance. If it's my direct report, other conversations are about performance, and we sort of isolate these as career development discussions. But for people on the team that don't report directly to me, the job of their manager is to manage performance, and that's not my job. So I try not to do, the managers on my team's jobs. But then, that's kind of what they're not about. But, what I do focus on is 3 things. One, like I said earlier, is get to know them as human beings, and for them to get to know me as a human being. 2 is really to give them the opportunity to give me direct feedback on what the leadership team or I specifically can do better as a leader. And then 3 is to talk about their career aspirations and the opportunities they want to get within their role. And then, we also focus, at least in the first few sessions until we've sort of accomplished the goals, to try and identify a mentor within the organization for them.
Yeah, you're really known for this mentoring program that you have. Can you walk us through what that mentoring program looks like?
Sure, yeah. So it's really quite simple. It's my belief is everyone on the team should have a mentor at BeOne. So I have kind of 3 rules for identifying a mentor. So one is it can't be someone in their reporting structure. So it's our jobs as their managers or managers and all the way up to mentor them. So it should be somebody outside their reporting structure. 2 is I really want it to be someone senior at the company who has a lot of experience in the industry. And then 3 is, and probably the most important, important is it should be someone they think they'll connect well with, based on being in a meeting with them or seeing them from the stage or by reputation. And then once we identify the mentor, I go and set it up for them so they don't have to have that awkward, "Hey, will you be my mentor?" conversation.
I hear you. I connect people too, so I get how, I eliminate that awkwardness there. But as far as that mentoring program works, what are some best practices that other leaders, if they wanted to implement something like this, like how long is the mentoring program? Is it for a year, 6 months? What is the length?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I tell folks this all the time because, different companies, HR will have a mentorship program. And, my philosophy has been, a good mentor is a mentor for life. And so, I have mentors, from previous companies that I feel like I can call if I need advice. And, I think it should be the same way within this program is, if you really, identify someone that you connect well with, you meet with them regularly, you get to know them. And there's actually a lot of benefits, this sort of reverse mentoring concept as well, which is, a mentee can a lot of times help out a mentor in ways that are unexpected. So to answer your question is, it's not a defined period. It's somebody you get to know, and if you really connect well with them, they should be a mentor for the rest of your career.
And that's something I'll tell you. I'm a mentor in our organization. We have a mentoring program too, but it's sort of assigned, which maybe we
Yeah,
should rethink.
yeah.
But I'll tell you, being someone else's mentor, you get as much out of it as they're getting out of it.
Yeah. I've had a few folks at BeOne who've come to me and asked me to be their mentor, and I am quick to say absolutely yes, because I found that I get as much out of it as hopefully they do.
And future leaders can really be identified that way. Like there's been a couple times where I've had such a positive experience with a mentee that I've gone to their upline manager and say, "Man, I got to tell you, this person is exceptional. They have some great ideas and that sort of thing." And that goes right into that coaching tree paradigm that you were talking about.
Absolutely, yeah, it all feeds together.
So I have a selfish question for you. So
Okay.
I'm a recruiter in medical affairs. Everybody knows that. You're a medical affairs leader at BeOne. Everybody knows that. What are the three key things? I hear you using the number three a lot. So what are the three key things that leading a high-powered medical affairs department, what does it take?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, obviously there's more than three, but if I had to narrow it down to three, I guess I'd say people, collaboration, and challenge. So hire good people, but then develop people, give people an opportunity to go above and beyond, and really create a positive culture where people can thrive. Two is you got to collaborate well, especially in medical affairs, especially with sort of two major functions, the commercialization function and the research and development function, because we sit in between those functions. And it's because of this unique position that we can provide tremendous value to our company and our organization. And then three is, challenge the team continuously to improve at all times. But within that challenge, make sure you're there to celebrate the success and provide sort of authentic positive reinforcement after you challenge the team and then they meet the challenge. I think that's really important.
I agree. And challenge was one of the C's that you brought out earlier.
It was, absolutely.
If you genuinely care and they know that, and you're spending all this time with them and you're communicating well, and then you challenge them with some sort of really believe in you, or I know you can do better. I gotta think that changes the challenge tremendously, doesn't it?
It does. And, people, when they know you care and you can communicate what you're looking for, and then you challenge them to kind of, rise to the occasion, you see people just do tremendous things. And, and that's really our job as leaders in industry, is to, have the strategy and then execute the strategy. And if you can challenge the team to create a great strategy and then challenge the team that executes that strategy to deliver, then you're going to be successful. And I've seen that time and time again.
And that really goes right into that extreme ownership. There's an example in the book where they talked about how they had to, these really amazing soldiers, these Navy SEALs, are now having to interact with lesser soldiers from the place that they're trying to save. And it was up to the leader to really explain that why that challenge was so important. It kind of ties right into that, no?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I love the book really resonated with me. And then, getting to go do the course with the Echelon Front team, really drove it home. And, we were actually on a call yesterday that we sent, I think, 10 people to the last, they call them musters, where they do these trainings. And, hearing our team talk about how impactful the training was on them as aspiring leaders, but also as, parents and family members. It was really cool to see.
Well, you bring up aspiring leaders. That's the next question I wanted to ask you. Many of our listeners are sort of aspiring to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think they're going to move into a second line manager position anytime soon. But what career advice would you give someone who is really aspiring to move into management?
Yeah. So I'm going to get a little philosophical here. So I drop off. I have two girls, a 16-year-old and 12-year-old girl, and when I'm home and not traveling, I often drop them off at school. And when I'm driving them to school, I ask them the three same questions. I've been doing this for years, since my oldest one I think was in kindergarten. But I ask them the same three questions, and they give me the same three answers every day. And part of it is, it's how I want them to be when they go to school that day. But part of it's to remind myself how to be, when I get to work, just a few minutes later. And so the first question is, how are you going to treat people? And the answer is, how you want to be treated. The second question is, who are you going to be? And the answer is, me. And the third question is, how hard are you going to try? And the answer is, as hard as I can. And so I think if if every day you treat people well, you be yourself and not try to be someone you're not, and you work as hard as you can, you'll get opportunities. You'll get leadership and management opportunities. And then you just got to seize the opportunity. But I don't think it stops there. I think once you seize the opportunity, and I learned this, I got put in a manager job, probably, quicker than, I deserved. But then, I quickly realized that it was an awesome opportunity. And so, I took the approach of, I'm not going to stop learning. So like I said earlier, if once it's not about just getting the opportunity, seizing the opportunity, but once you get into the job, don't stop, read, observe good and bad leaders around you, incorporate the good and don't do the things that you see bad leaders do, and then constantly seek feedback, from other people. And so I think if you do those things, then, you not only will get the opportunity, but then once you get in the job, you'll be successful and continue to grow as a leader.
What an amazing answer. I treasure that. I'm a dad of girls too, and I'm also the school chauffeur. I'm like the free Uber driver.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to incorporate those three questions. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
And if you can believe it, we're already out of time.
Wow.
But I can tell you, I've learned so much from this episode. I'm sure our audience has too. And the medical affairs organization at BeOne is certainly blessed to have someone like you at the helm. So thanks for joining us on the Pharmaverse.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on the Pharmaverse podcast. Make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss any leadership insights. Like and comment. I would love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next episode of Pharmaverse.